And here we are again for Crone's Crucible and Water Dance. We are back, everybody. We had nice or crazy Thanksgivings. I hope all your Thanksgivings out there were great. We had a great time. And I got to see Mike, so that was terrific.
Too much turkey.
Not enough turkey.
Never.
Yeah, there was not enough turkey at either house, yes. Anyway, we are back. Anybody have any stories or anything they want to relate before we start getting into this?
I am back on camera and should be for the foreseeable future.
We apologize in advance.
We're just a little bit late getting started tonight. We had all kind of crazies going on behind the scenes, but we managed to make it all huffing and puffing. We get into our chairs and we're ready to go. I have on my Dragon Flaming the Forest t-shirt, so I am set to blow this gig sky high tonight. We'll see what's going on. When we last saw our intrepid explorers prior to the previous evening, and they are currently on the city map, so I'll put it there. They had just cleaned up a mess at the Deschamps mansion, which had to do with a young woman who had stolen the book from the bookstore, which I assume you are going to be returning. And they found out that she had taken it in a desperate attempt to train herself to be a mage because she couldn't afford the mages college, and out of the goodness of his heart, Rael did the kindness and gave her some hints and things to get her started on her way, and managed to kind of cover up for her disasters that she left in her wake as she tried to use spells that were way over her ability. So there were quite a few. There was a destroyed market and a burnt barn and various things that had occurred that she had lost control. All meaning well, but it hadn't turned out well.
No, it did not.
I am recovering from a cold, so if I sound a little hoarse or squeaky or have to cough in the middle, I apologize in advance. As you mop up with book under arm, what are you going to do? Now, during the evening, it has been played out behind the scenes, but during the evening, Shepard will depart from the group and go off to a performance of an opera sung in German, maybe the same thing, maybe close to the same thing, sung in Giant, very Wagnerian in its scope, called The Rise of Tiamat, or The Fall of Tiamat, I guess, in this case. And it has to do with the giants, touting their abilities as they come in to save everybody from Tiamat, the terrible dragon queen, for those of you who aren't familiar with that section of D&D. But it's quite loud, quite boisterous, and loud music and belting at, there's giants on the stage belting this out, so you can imagine the kind of cacophony that is called an opera for this. And
my headcanon as now Giant sounds very much like German.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go play a bunch of Wagnerian operas, I think you'd be pretty close. With big buxom women in brass breastplates and things. Yes.
As you do.
Of course.
Sounds like as if there really are giants performing this.
Yes.
Like a mile away.
Oh yes. Anywhere in the range of the opera house, the ground would quake a little bit at times as the drums were pounding and everybody was singing or stomping or whatever in this thing. So it's quite dramatic. Does the shepherd have anything he wishes to say to the group when he returns?
when he returns, no, probably nothing of note. However, they would actually see his face for the first time, since he would be in formal apparel. And what they
Interesting change.
and what they see is a somewhat normal-looking humanoid, could be elf. Hair is shoulder length with a little bit of a tie back at the top. Somewhat of a beard, and it's kind of graying, showing that he's kind of like a little bit past middle age.
Dang it, he is male. Epi, I owe you 3 gold.
We will accept payment promptly.
Why would you make such a bet?
You never know with cowled people. You can't trust them.
Is that something that I should be aware of? And she's just gonna go straight staring at Rel.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
What can I roll to see what he is, the shepherd?
It would what would little beyond.
Probably insight.
Or a flat intelligence check?
Yeah, let's just make a flat intelligence check, and it would be a fairly low roll, I assume, because
Probably.
at least
Probably
not that low.
low.
Not 6. Yeah, that's just a wee bit lower than we need. But
I would say you would see less sharp features. So if he would be having elven blood, it's not full elven.
You know what? Screw it. I'm curious, and no, I did it worse.
You actually think he still?
yeah, you don't see anything any different.
You look like my cousin Roderick.
Okay.
I don't know who that is.
Neither do I.
All right, so now that would have actually occurred later in the evening, but I wanted to get in that had been done behind the scenes. So is there anything, as you guys are returning to Trollskull Alley, and I assume to return the book, what are you doing? Is there any side trips or anything that you need to do?
What time of day is it again?
Oh, it's probably about 4 o'clock by now.
I thought it was earlier because...
Yeah, make it 3. I know that you left the market around noon, and there was quite a lot of stuff with the barn fire and everything, so I figured a few hours went by and all the discussions, so we'll say 3 o'clock.
Time flies when things are on fire.
Well, Cashton still needs to do that errand.
Would that be the
Herbs?
Herbs, yeah.
Yeah, and
So that would be during my time being away from them, I guess. Because I would have left by now to get ready.
Would we have time to do Varys's errand outside the city as well?
No,
Or-
I think that one's going to have to be done after tonight's.
That's what I thought.
Because it may take you, according to, depending on dice rolls, it may take you a couple of nights to track down the things that you need to do there. And you've got opening tomorrow. What time?
You've got a night full of brewing.
Yeah, you're going to be very busy brewing up.
We are putting you
very
to work.
green liquor for here. There's going to be some really raw liquor coming out of that cellar for the first day of activity.
That's only for the first few nights, but that's also why we bought the. That's also why we bought the week's worth of standard liquor. In case people can't handle what's coming out of the cellar, we've got something to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe start with the week's worth of other stuff, and then introduce the raspberry. Once it's actually done.
They can do a now. Question: I'm not a connoisseur on alcohol in general, but if you have a freshly made thing, does it still retain like the aroma of what you're going to drink, or
It's
is it just
pretty. It's sharp. It's not mellow like it is later. It's a pretty acidic kind of initial brew.
Okay.
Alcohol of all kinds has to sit and age at least for a little bit after it's been brewed. Otherwise, yeah, you get that really sharp, almost intolerably bitter kind of smell and taste.
Which Varus also said that he has a couple of casks at his parents' blacksmith shop that he would. So you can serve the raspberry mead now, but the new batch of all the stuff that you put in the group chat earlier would
that's
not be
gonna
ready
be
for
going.
you.
That's gonna be going. We can have like a coming soon list posted.
Yeah, and you can have maybe the raspberry wine at a high enough price that not everybody will use it, only the ones of means, so you know that it won't go too fast. That kind of thing, or just little small sampler snifters of it or something.
It'll be shot glasses. Everyone gets shot glasses.
Pretty much, yeah. We can hand out free samples. Say, here's what we're trying. It'll be available in a couple days. Does Cassun or anyone else? Because I haven't heard about any sort of Cashin, then cash money. Has he said anything about his errand to get the herb, or is this all still OC?
Actually, that's a decent enough question. Has Cashin made his job known to the others?
Yes. Not to Varus, but to the others, yes.
And it also is a reasonably minor thing. Let's see what Fala. They needed herbs to brew potions, correct? It's been a little while, so I'm trying to remember. It was for Fala the herbalist, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Cashin?
Hmm?
You need herbs for Fala the potion maker herbalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
What was it? Just regular potions? What kinds of herbs did they ask you for?
I don't really recall what they said.
I believe it was potions it was the herbs needed to brew up standard potions like healing potions and things. They were running a bit low and asked you to replenish their stock, so you would have to take quite a hike around. It would be a long walk. This might also be something you will want to do the following morning, or a small joint. I can't talk tonight. Small jaunt. Not doing a full walk in the evening, possibly. With time running short.
I'm pretty sure the potion shop maker is in Trollskull Alley, correct?
The potion maker is in Trollskull.
Okay.
Is that what you asked? Yes.
Yeah, they would
Paula
probably
is
be
the
aware.
wood elf that is on the south side of Trollskull Alley, down about 3 buildings from Varus's house.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under the safe assumption that they would have heard about us opening, so obviously expecting the stuff right away is not in those deck of cards.
Right.
Fair enough.
So it's not like we wouldn't have time to complete that. You know, it's like, oh, they'd offer to do this job, but they're also opening the tavern, so obviously they're not going to immediately come back with the stuff, and I do want to see their opening, so...
Just make sure you send them a flyer.
Yeah.
Just not the flyer Sam was writing earlier. We'll avoid that one.
Nokri,
yes,
I think Nokri would have sent out the
actual flyers?
No, the personal invites.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's fancy speak for flyer.
Right. And we now need to turn our attention to Epiphany, who wandered off while all of this was going on. What did Epiphany do? What was he investigating or thinking about or hibernating in, whatever, during their experience in the market and the Deschamps manor?
Epiphany was essentially off, presumably doing something questionable for their extracurricular employer. Not their typical employer, but their extracurricular employer.
Okay, very good.
Speaking of which, we haven't done it in a while, unless my math is off, which it might be. I think both Epi and Rel owe you, I think it's 3 investigation rolls each, or is it 2?
I remember we were doing investigation rolls for something, but I've forgotten what.
To track down the people who are after, basically to track down people in connection to like Manchun and all that stuff.
Okay, very good.
And it was like we both had to do an investigation roll a day, and if it was above a 13, like we made progress.
If it's above a 13, we make progress.
Yep. Go ahead and give me your 2 sets of investigation rolls so we can get that.
Okay. So do you? Okay. Okay, that's 1. So I just have to.
So first day we didn't have any luck, and second day we made some progress.
Right.
Or unless we can mix match. Can we mix and match?
No, you'll get a couple pieces of information is basically what it boils down to. You learn the name of the individual that had been in the office when you went in the first day that apparently was tied up with the mystery man's half of the faction. And his first name was Erstel, you found out. From various things. He apparently, when he was in the employ of your main office, he actually went under a pseudonym as the Seeker, and he didn't go by his regular name. So the information you were first given by Davil was that you wanted to find this individual that went by Seeker, but you weren't coming up with a lot of information, hence the low rolls when you first started doing it. Finally, you made contact with some underworld types that indicated, for the right kind of payment, that his real first name was Erstel. It takes a little bit more intimidation and or bribery before you learn the entire name, and the man that you are speaking with insists on getting 25 gold payments so he can get out of town, because he's afraid that if he lets this information out that he will get in trouble. So are you going to try and shake him up for the second half of the name? And how are you going to do it? You're going to try to intimidate him or bribe him?
Yeah, we will attempt to intimidate him and speak into his brain that there is absolutely nothing that the person he's afraid of can do that is worse than what we are about to do.
Then give me your intimidation rolls. That ought to do it.
Pretty convincing.
The man's hand that he'd been holding out, insisting with his chin stuck out that you had to pay him 25 more gold, drops suddenly, and he kind of grabs the collar of his cloak and just says, look, I'm going to leave town. You never met me. You don't know me. His name's Erstel Floxen, and I'm going to write it in the chat.
And that's the guy who tried to steal the horse.
Of course.
We appreciate your business.
Urstel Floxen. That's a mouthful to put down.
Apparently, he's got some questionable ancestry, and he's a pretty rough guy. But the guy that you talk to says that he tends to go for the one that waves the most gold at him, so he suspects that probably he ran to the highest bidder.
He was just bought out.
The only other information you get is that there was another one involved in the horse theft. It was more than a theft. The horse
Caper?
Caper would be a better, yeah. then there was a female, but that they don't really know who the female was. So that information is still outstanding on your rolls. So you at least have a name now to go after for who you're looking for on there.
Cute.
And sorry, who was this person?
Erstal Floxen was the one who...
No, the guy that we're talking to.
He was
just some random underground type.
He's a thug, the type of stool pigeon type that sells out information to anybody who bribes him, but hears a lot on the street and knows what's going on.
As he leaves, I'm going to cast Dissonant Whispers on him.
He suddenly looks in all directions in a panic, terrified that there are people that have seen him talking to you, and you have never seen a man run so fast as he heads for the nearest gate out of town.
Does he make a wisdom save, and then does he have more than 9 HP?
He's in pretty bad shape, at least mentally. He's not doing too bad hit point wise, but he's a thug. I'll have to see what a thug's HP is on it.
Essentially, the thing that I'm going for is Epiphany does not want this guy to talk to anyone else. He talked to us.
He starts with 32 hit points, so he is probably not doing too bad, but he is very jittery, and he's going to be remaining out of town. As a matter of fact, he's probably... How long does Dissonant Whispers last?
It's basically target makes a wisdom save. On a failed save, it takes 3d6 psychic damage and must immediately use its reaction if available to run from me.
Yeah, he's running, and the problem is not only that he's running from you, he's running from the unknown, because he is so convinced that somebody has heard him talking to you that he believes these whispers are people passing information to the underworld that he gave out this name. So he basically, I'm going to do a D6 roll to see how many days before he finally manages to clear his brain.
Yeah, I mean, the intention is end the cut the loose tie.
It takes him a full 24 hours before he is able to clear his brain, and he basically by that time has become so paranoid that even though he's not hearing the whispers anymore, he's far enough from people in town that he thinks he's gotten away from individuals. He still is convinced for quite a bit of time that somebody is on his trail, and so he just heads north up the Sword Coast as fast as he can go, because he wants to get a new life, a new face, and anything he can do.
Is Rel with Epiphany?
I imagine it would have to be some spare time, because I would have to help you investigate, so yeah.
All right.
Epi, did you just try to kill somebody by tearing their mind to shreds again?
No, we failed to do so.
I said try. Underline the word try, Epi.
Next time we will not simply try.
We will succeed, yes.
I've still got a lot of work to do.
We cannot let word get back to our foe that we are looking for them. Okay,
all right,
thank you.
So that loose end is at least for the time being tied up, but you have this information on who you are looking for that apparently is working against the main faction and has this split off group that's causing trouble. All right.
What I would also like this information is this guy right here. But I'm done right now.
Yeah. So it's a matter of when and how all this information comes up, and some of it may come up sooner rather than later. We'll see what goes on tonight.
I do actually have a question about that, though. Because Aren't you having us followed?
Oh, hey, yeah, that's right. I am having them followed.
Now, we know this silly.
Yep.
But can we roll anything to notice, hey, Epi, we're being followed. What the hell?
I am going to say you can roll perception, but it will be a fairly high roll. I'm going to make it at a 16. Because the people who will be following you are reasonably competent in what they do. Not this time. You guys happily go on home not aware. Now, I am going to have you, Brett, give a roll for your followers to see what their perception is. You're going to do their roll, so you give a perception roll to see how much they heard. Oh my!
Yep. Let the cleric let the cleric do perception rolls.
So
I heard everything.
So your very competent group of spies managed to get close enough, and maybe the guy you were talking to, Epi and Rel, wasn't altogether wrong that people were listening and hearing in on this. He might have been accurate.
Everyone's listening.
Okay. So
well, realistically, what is he going to know? Epi and Rel are looking into the Zentarum split. Oh, big deal.
Well, I'm just looking for this person specifically as well.
Checking out the various 1, 2, 3. Okay, he's down in the house. So who's in the house? I'm looking at the Trollskull Alley picture. Shepard is off. I'll put him off screen a bit here. He's off
can you put us on there?
I will. Yes, I'm adjusting before I transfer the ribbon, so I'm putting Shepard over to the side, and I'll move you over to this version of the picture. Now that you have arrived back at house, Relian and Epiphany took this little side jaunt. What was Nokri doing on the way home?
Probably trying to figure out the best course of action to, I don't know, deal with her newfound issues, so to speak. Given that the trial just tried to peg her as the killer.
And what was Cashin doing?
Cashin is just, he is going to be making some traps in his room.
Okay.
And set them in front of the front door.
Yeah, he's paranoid too. He didn't want anybody to come into the Trollskull. Where are you planning on putting this? And why is Varys in Cashin's room?
Oh, I'm just trying to have him here. I'll put him outside the door, I guess. I need him in the cellar so he can be brewed.
Okay, well, that would be about there.
Cashin will be having one. Will be installing them over time, but there'll be ones at the windows, at the door, and then at the other door that leads up to the parapet.
Okay, so basically that tower room that you have where you can overlook these shutters and so forth that you have here, you've got yourself quite a watchtower that you've set up. So you're basically doing prevention in case anybody tries to sneak in on you. Okay.
Yeah, actually, instead of the windows, I'll make sure iron bars are set on those, but I'll definitely install traps at the doors.
Okay, very good. So you return home. Who has the book?
I have the book.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have eventually relinquished it.
So are you going to take it down to Rishal?
Now, I can't myself copy these spells down because I'm not a wizard. I can't use them myself. But would it be possible to copy the spells down and give them to somebody else at a later date?
It has to be copied by the wizard directly into their book, even if the spells are a higher level than they are able to cast. They can write them, but it has to be done by a wizard into their spellbook.
What I'm asking is, like, if I were to write down the spells onto parchment, and then it's the entirety of the spell, and then I gave that to a wizard, would it work?
No, the way it's set up is you might be able to possibly a scroll that could be used once, but you would not be able to transfer it in the way that you are thinking of, because that has to go through the power of magic directly into their spellbook. So the most you could do would be to get a one-use.
It has to go straight from the book to a wizard's spellbook. Okay. In that case, now Brellian's just going to skim through it out of interest and then probably take it to him.
Yeah, all the spells are basically 5th level spells that are in the book. There are 3 of them in there, and I've forgotten the list. I don't have it in front of me at the moment. Bigby's Hand was one of them. I think Chain Lightning was the other. That was what she set the barn on fire. And then there was another one.
Okay, wait, time out. She was milking a cow. For what God's honest reason was she using Chain Lightning to milk a cow?
You didn't specifically ask
She's
that.
not a clever man.
No. There were rats coming in and eating the cow's feed, and all she wanted to do was zap the rat and send it scurrying. Instead, she lit the hay and the barn on fire.
No, so she used Chain Lightnings to scare away some rats. No, there's no quite kill like overkill.
It's like using a shotgun to kill a spider.
Or like using
that one's actually reasonable.
Yes.
Or like using Bigby's hand. Or like using Bigby's hand to try and pick up a street urchin who was stealing bread or whatever from a stall. She was overkilling on the whole thing and then not able to control the overkill that she was using. So it was a very disastrous thing that was happening.
But yeah, I'm gonna skim through it out of interest, and while I'm doing, I'm heading over to the Dragonborn to give him his book.
He is quite delighted when you come in. The minute he sees it, he is just like clapping his hands and jumping up and down. As I've described him before, this Dragonborn is not a normal-sized Dragonborn. He's a little bit more human-looking than you frequently picture Dragonborns as looking. He clearly has maybe only quarter dragon blood in him, and Dragonborn kind of blood in him. But he is very slight. He's not the big, bulky, hulking Dragonborn that you usually think of, and it's part of the reason that he's gone into the field that he's gone into. But this little Dragonborn is just bouncing up and down and squeaking with excitement over having reclaimed his book, and he runs to put it on the shelf and then pumps your hand most vigorously for several minutes as he jabbers on about the wonders of you being able to track this down and wants all the information. What are you going to tell him?
In order to keep Elena out of trouble as much as possible, he's just going to say, "Oh, it was just your common, regular magic traffickers. It's people who, they don't call this place the City of Wonders, the City of Splendors for no reason. People trying to get magic on the cheap,
And he will nod enthusiastically. "Oh, I understand completely. Oh, I'm just so excited that you're able to find it. Oh, a reward, yes. Oh," and he runs to the till and opens it up and takes out 50 gold to give to you. He is quite excited. The book itself will probably sell for a large amount of gold, so this is small in comparison to the value of the book.
Aurelian will take the pack of gold and say, "Thank you, my good sir. I promise to retrieve your item, and you promise to pay me a handsome sum. It's good to see we're both men of our word." And he's going to put the bag of gold into his face, and then say, "So I do hope that you'll be joining us tomorrow for our grand opening of the Trollskull Tavern."
Oh, I'll be there. I can promise it. I absolutely promise it. Oh, I'm going to tell all my friends. I have friends that are going to come. We'll be there. I promise.
Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell everybody.
Well, I don't know about my enemies. I would rather not have our friend up there in the corner there. I don't know what he would do. And he's tipping his head towards Emic Froon, who has Froon's bruise up there in the corner.
My employer, leader, boss lady, Sugar Scales. She was sort of pondering the idea of inviting him to try to mend bridges. What's your take on that?
Oh, he doesn't really seem the kind to forgive and forget. I just haven't been able to see anything but his bad side. I'm not sure he has a good side.
Keep that in mind. But do come by tomorrow. I'll have to head back. It's starting to get late. But do come by, and it's wonderful. I was able to help a fellow magic practitioner, reclaim what's his.
Oh, I'm just so thankful we have really good people on the street again. I mean, all except for Emic, but other than that, this is just becoming such a wonderful neighborhood. I'm so glad I moved in here.
You know what? I'm starting to feel the same way. You take care now.
Okay, so...
More of a kobold born.
Yeah, he's kind of... You're not sure what his background is, because he was definitely the runt of the litter, it seems. So you would probably head back to the manor because you've got last-minute work to pull together. Now, what all do we have? We have all of the repairs done and paid for, right?
I think it was just mainly the downstairs.
Yeah, I'm talking about, when I talk about this at this point, just by definition, we're currently talking about floor 1.
Yes.
So
yeah, and I think during the brewing we were also gonna clean up the basement cellar, whatever, because that's where we're gonna have the brewing equipment and our backstock, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, you take Varys downstairs and he takes one look around. He's like,
Well, it's not bad. It's not really bad. All it is just it's just shelves, or not shelves, but racks of empty casks and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And a bit of dirt and cobwebs, and it hadn't been used in a while. But it's not like rats and nests and things. It needs some work. But there's some big, heavy-duty oaken tables that would be really good for holding your brewing equipment. So you probably are spending your time, Varys, trotting back and forth to get your brewing equipment down in the cellar. Probably would be good for you, because if you had it at home with the blacksmith shop taking up so much room of everything, you probably didn't have a lot of room to spread out for your brewing.
yeah.
So Varys will be spending the evening brewing frantically. What is Epiphany spending the evening doing? He will be taking the job as bouncer once you open the doors, which will come to play later in terms of your profit loss things. I'm thinking in terms of your jobs and how we'll add it up.
We will be casing the joint.
Anyway, I need to roll my thieves' tools to set up my trap.
Go right ahead.
Okay. Let's see. And just so people know why I'm doing this.
Very good.
So as part of a short rest.
Yep. And you...
Oof.
This is your first try at doing it, and probably you have about half success on what you do. You get your fingers bit by one of them. It snaps closed on your hand, and you have a little bit of an injury on your hand for a couple of days, as you realize that next time you need to hold it a little more securely. I don't know how many people have ever set a traditional mouse trap, but it's quite a challenge to do it without getting your fingers in it.
This ain't a trap. This ain't a mouse trap.
Which means you're going to have a pretty injured hand for a day because it would cause you some damage. You have all your fingers, but you have some piercing damage from the thing snapping shut on you. So you would have...
He has a new Pierce?
Yeah.
I like to name my traps. I call this one Pierce.
So we'll say you are able to set half of your traps that you were trying. The others you either didn't construct quite right or haven't quite figured out how to get them set correctly so they operate the way you want. So of the number of traps you said you were making, how many? You said earlier how many you were making.
I'm going to, for now, leave it to just 2.
Okay, so you only set 1 then?
So do I set another?
You would have to roll again to set the next one. Just barely good enough that after a couple of tries you manage to get both of them set properly. But you stand there looking at that trap going, I hope nobody sneezes near it because I'm not sure it's going to stay set. It's just really marginal.
Can we make it canon that the reason he has the injury is while he was setting up the first trap, Rel just walks up behind him, sees what he's doing, then just says, "Hey, CC, what you doing?" and then walks away?
I don't think that would work in your favor if you did. I think we'll just...
Yeah, because that just says you're a sadist.
Yeah, and this has to do with his basic ability and whether he's learning his traps as he goes, if he's improving or not.
But he don't have advantage. Those rolls were awesome.
Yeah, and the windows I'm going to keep locked.
Very good.
And closed.
All right, so...
As in the shutters.
You have your last few hours before you are going to open. Are you going to get a good night's sleep? Are you going to spend the entire night up? How are you going to approach your countdown?
Just thinking on it a little bit. I probably before it got too late, I'd probably also would stop back at Varys's family shop and bring up the notion of potentially putting like security bars on the second floor windows because of what happened at the trial.
Very
good. Just kind of like picking their brain, seeing what they thought of the idea.
Varys, what do you think your family would think about making some security bars for the upstairs?
I mean, it's a commission.
Out type deal.
They're gay genasi in the middle of Waterdeep. They're not exactly judgy. If you want some security bars, they'll probably make you some security bars.
They're pretty open-minded. They certainly would know that there can be dangers in Waterdeep, so they would understand that pretty well. All right. So again, the question: are you guys how much sleep are you going to get? Has Shepard returned?
Regular sleep.
Yep, full rest after this
Varys
trap setting.
Going to stay up a bit late, just making sure that everything for the brewing stuff is in place. So he'll probably get, depending on how early they open, he'll get between 6 and 7 hours. So a little bit less than normal.
But enough that it would count.
Relian is going to, as soon as he gives the book back, he's going to return. He's going to check on his eggy weggies. Then he's going. How are they doing, by the way? Did they look? I don't know, ripe. I don't know how eggs work.
Eggs don't look any different on the last day than they do on the first day, I'm afraid. Except maybe a little dirtier, but other than that, there's nothing.
The only way you can find out, throw one at a wall and see what happens.
No, Rel's not that crazy.
No, that's terrible.
But could I roll a nature check to see if they're healthy or they're like coming along
Give
okay?
me a nature check to see what's going on with them. Yes.
I hear if you
Hey.
hit really hard, you can hear if there's a chicken.
Don't make me kill my pets before they're even born.
From the best you can tell, they seem to be doing well, and every once in a while you can see they must be getting close to hatching, because the eggs were laying there in a kind of a fold in front of the fireplace being kept warm, and one of the eggs kind of rolled itself over like the chick inside of it was adjusting its position a bit. So they must be getting reasonably large. Now these eggs are larger than chicken eggs. They are about...
So about the size of a tennis ball.
Yeah, they're a fairly large egg.
Okay, so these aren't vermin birds or anything. I was expecting, like, I don't know, I thought it might be, I don't know, pigeon or something, or some very oddly adapted chicken, but no, the eggs are that big. That's a big bird.
It's clearly not something like a big reptile egg or a dragon egg or anything like that, but it's a larger egg than a chicken by obvious amounts.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, I'll make sure those are safe and healthy and doing good. And after that, Rel's going to split his attention of helping Varys clean out the cellar and also organizing the kitchen to something that would let him work easily, getting ready for tomorrow. The layout doesn't make any sense to anyone but him, but will allow him to work easy, and he will get a full night's sleep and wake up at the crack of dawn if he can.
All right, I've got the following question for you as you start for your sleep for the night, because this will lead into the tail end of what we're doing this evening. Over the course of the 10-day, the 10-day week that they have in this game, over the course of the 10 days, you've been pretty busy. You've been running around, going to trials, solving crimes, doing quests for people, getting things arranged. You have not had a whole lot of time to actually roll up your sleeves and work on the building. Most of that has been done by hired hands, Tully, and what have you. But you have had some time to sweep, to clean, to stack, and do things. How many days in that 10-day would you say you have added up to? Add up how many hours you think you would have done and tell me how many days you think each of you would have done.
I'll have Varys help out with cleaning for like an hour or two.
I figured Nokri would have made it part of the daily routine to help dust and stuff like that. Especially when what's his face was fixing up the outside and whatnot. She would have taken the time to make sure sweeping got done inside and out, make sure all sawdust was taken care of and stuff like that.
Okay, I would say that Nokri probably added up in that 10 days to pretty close to 2 days worth of help with the half-day periods and so forth. So I'll give you a 2. Varys hasn't known them all that long, so he's only got about a half day's worth of help. How much help has Epiphany done?
Oh, sorry.
Epiphany will do the minimum required.
Okay, so maybe the other half day for Varys. How about Relian? You had the kitchen you had to get together.
Yeah, Relian probably has done the most work besides Nokri. I'd say I'm remembering he rolled that nat 20 to actually diagnose the building, how much damage it actually had, and how much money we would have to spend to actually repair it. So he would actually notice like the main things that would need mending to keep the building together. And he would also be focusing on the kitchen. So I'd say about almost 2 days for him as well.
Okay, very good. And what about Shepard and Cashin?
Shepard would be, if he is at the end, that's all he would be doing outside of sleep, because there is literally nothing else to do. So anytime that he's not out and about with the group or, going with his contacts on anything, he's working on getting it clean. And if the basement, or I guess if the cellar and the first floor was at least cleaned enough, he would have started on the second floor.
And I know he was going to do the main janitorial jobs of the team. And what is what is Cashin doing?
Hmm?
What is Cashin doing for cleaning?
He'll be
over this 10-day period.
Sorry. Cleaning the first floor or second floor.
Anything in the building.
I need to get a number. How would you say you have put in an entire day's work on it, work day, 8-hour work day, or would you say you put in less?
I'd say like close to a full day's work, like 6 hours.
All right, so it looks like about 6 days' work has been done by the team in total, with all of your man hours put together. So that will be playing a part. That's what I needed in the in total there. So very good. All right, so I'll be using that number later. You'll see where that comes into play with the thing. All right, so eventually I assume you settle into kind of a restless sleep as you are planning for your day's opening coming tomorrow. What time did you say you were going to open the bar or the restaurant or whatever you're going to start first?
Noon.
I would say kind of like brunch. That way any last minute fussing can happen during the breakfast hours.
So
it's like
about 10 a.m.
Yeah, I think that would work out best, wouldn't it?
Very good. When you guys get up and do your last minute, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this, and has anybody handled the latrine, and all this kind of yelling is going on. Your various workers show up. What's the name of the guy that you went to the trial with? I've forgotten his. Haldar, yeah. Yeah, he shows up for work with obviously his work clothes on, ready to do work. The two young waitresses that you've hired show up and take the tour of where the kitchen is, how you want food served, all of the things. This is in the couple of hours prior to the actual opening. Lots of yelling and preparation going on, the usual nervousness of what you forgot and what you remembered. Anything that you wish to do prior to the doors opening that we haven't covered?
Where are my set of Valerian steel butter knives?
I do have a question. Would you allow me to use shape water on alcohol so I can waterbend it into people's glasses? Like waterbend mimosas into the champagne glasses? That would be pretty
I have said that, yeah, it's got pretty high water content. Now, if you're talking about a really thick liqueur, I would say no. But as long as it's a wine or an ale, I'll say yes.
Okay, so you have Barris standing behind the bar as drink master. Every time someone brings a cup, I heat.
Nope.
I'm not drink master?
No.
You make the drink, but we have a bartender.
You stay in the cellar.
You'll get You'll get to see their bartender shortly. You're just about to see it.
Okay. Just because that was a point of kind of crap, I forgot. I would oh geez.
Varys, would you like to meet Leaf?
I would probably tell Varys about what Leaf is, but not the waitress staff. I kind of would make it seem like this is a very high spell that we're working with here, so try not to mess up around the counters, blah blah blah. It's like Varys by himself would know what the bartender is.
So go ahead and tell him what you would tell him.
So
yes, Marcus.
I talk plain. So about our bartender. she's a very special case. Almost how you would say not all there. To sort of serving beyond her means. Politely, she's a ghost.
She's dead.
But I
It
adore
seems
the
like
idea
that would
anyways.
make it incredibly difficult to handle drink.
Actually, she's kind of a pro at it.
All right, well, far be it from me to decide what someone wishes to do after they depart.
She loves this place. She loved this place so much, it almost pained me to tell her no.
She came with the place.
Exactly.
Look at it this way: she's very dedicated to her job.
At least you know she won't screw over.
Is she here, or is she like?
Oh, she's always here.
Does she turn invisible?
She's kind of always invisible, I think.
She kind of comes and goes. There's a hint of her at times.
If you
Can I make a perception check to see if there's a ghost in the room?
Yeah.
I know if you ask her a question, she'll write it down.
Slowly from behind the bar, you see a kind of a blue, phantom-y form that goes.
To everyone else that comes here, staff, customers, anyone else, the bar is enchanted. We do not want any undue stress upon them, and possibly on us as well.
It's gonna be a great draw card.
We also do not want them to try to exercise her either. I love this one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was raised. I'm the son of a gay Genasi couple. Not exactly judge.
By the way, how did those two become your parents?
One of them is a step parent.
It's a tale. One I'm not certain we have time for tonight. Seeing as how this, or is this talking about tomorrow morning?
This is in the morning, just before you open.
Well, the short version of it is that it was Embrick and Eris.
Yeah, Ari or Abby. I never can remember.
Abby, that's what it was.
Abby.
Avi is my actual father, biologically speaking. He hasn't. He's sober now. Beforehand, he was quite the party. And during a jaunt out to the countryside, he encountered there was a night, and here I am.
Yes. Lovely,
I can
lovely elven woman.
In simpler terms, Keshin, when a man and a man and the stripper pole all love each other very much.
Relin is going to slowly turn, and he's just going to say, "What kind of priest are you again?"
Trust me, I've seen plenty of
at that one.
Trust me, I've seen plenty of stripper poles.
Knocker is going to put her hand on Varys' shoulder and gently coax him away from the rest. And it's like, don't mind them. They're insane, but they work hard.
We do not get it.
Don't worry, Epiphany. You don't need to.
I'm sure there are books about it, Epiphany.
What was that?
I'm sure there are books about it, Epiphany.
We would rather extract the information.
Directly from the brain.
Relian is just going to wrap an arm around Epi's shoulders. He's going to glare at the shepherd and say, "Never talk to me or my son again."
We are not related to you in any meaningful fashion in that way.
Stop lying.
Isn't he like a foot taller than you as well?
Yeah, he's like 7. He's 6 foot ish, hunched over. You know, like straight up, he's like 7.5 feet tall. But he's hunched over most of the time.
Oh, so he hunches over majorly.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like it's just
Brilliant's going to check a watch that isn't there and says, I think it's starting to get about that hour.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Well, Epiphany would, as the bouncer, would probably have the honors of lifting the bar and opening and putting the open sign or open for business sign out front. How are you going to do this? You going to throw confetti out the door? What are you going to do?
Oh, I can handle that.
Oh, maybe we.
Oh, hold on. Okay. Do we have anything explosive?
Oh God, I hope
Lots
not.
of wine.
Relian's personality.
Oh, thank you. But no, Aurelian, the second the door is open, just going to... Let's see.
I have thaumaturgy.
Yeah, I say we just throw a bunch of minor spells into the air.
Okay, so there are a lot of tooting of horns and cheering sounds and various things coming from the neighborhood.
We use thaumaturgy to make all the candle lights strobe different colors like a rave place.
Cool.
Varys goes around with the mirrors to direct beams in different directions.
Yeah, but
I can make
go ahead.
I can make a sound that originates from the point. I'll make a troll roar.
Does Epiphany would it be preferred that Epiphany take stance outside or inside? Like
inside.
Like inside the door or outside
otherwise,
the door?
Inside the door. Otherwise, the customers will be scared off.
I think just inside the door, like off to the side a little.
We will arrange ourselves in a manner, and Epiphany will move to the corner.
But yeah, the way I see this happening...
What exactly is he again?
We are Epiphany.
I don't know, but I adore him.
He is a joy, and you will respect him.
The first visitors, as the sound effects and various things happen in the neighborhood, are the ones that you've made the closest friendships with. Vincent, I never can remember his name. I always want to call him Rashid. What is his name? Rishal. Rishal, and the entire local group of the ones you've kind of come to call friends in the neighborhood are the first ones to your door. They come jumping happily in through the doors and going, "Congratulations!" and all this, and they go looking for breakfast first thing. Not a lot of other people come right away, so it might be a little tense at first of whether you're going to make ends meet because things are slow for the early part of the day. About lunchtime, it begins to pick up just a bit. A lot of workmen and others come. Your friends tend to come in and out during the day, checking on you, seeing if they can do anything for you, trying to help set things up and they kind of roll up their sleeves and give you some help, just like friends will do. So little by little, the clientele in the area begins to build, and you begin to notice people are just sticking around and kind of in a party atmosphere. Along about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, when you're kind of counting pennies and going, boy, it better pick up, things really begin to pop. And suddenly, as people are getting off work, stalls are closing down, you begin to see more and more people moving into the inn. And about happy time, you start to have a really crowded place.
Varys is typically keeping to the cellar.
Oh my god.
But will work as a tertiary server if
the place where I have your token there is the stairs down into the cellar, so you would be trotting up and down with things, and Heldar, the elf sailor that is working for you temporarily, would help you trot heavy casks or large cases of wine bottles or whatever up and down the stadium, you see not only just about everybody you've made some kind of positive image on arriving into the place, but lots and lots of commoners, nobles, everything else that are just apparently coming to check out the place and see what it's like. So it really is getting packed. You are starting to look at things and go, I'm glad we got all these supplies because there's going to be a lot of people here. So what in particular are you going to be aiming at or looking at for the evening?
For the evening, just kind of getting a feel for people.
Cashin will be doing the same, divide and conquer.
Getting a feel for people, making sure to especially find out which amongst them are like
influential. Influential people.
A combination of influential plus
wealthy.
No, not just. Don't put words in my mouth here.
Sorry.
Looking for those who are actually of the main noble houses of Waterdeep to do formal introductions.
Very good. And as Nakri is doing this and kind of trotting back and forth and making sure that she does the proper introductions to the nobles, she is stopped by this individual who seems to have another person in tow with it. These two individuals right here are the ones that I am talking about. I'm going to put Nakri over by them. The front man introduces himself as Gillester Silverlane, I think his name is. I got to look at that. That's you, not him. I want this one. Let's try it. Gillester Silvermane, yeah. And he introduces himself as the head of the Lord's Alliance. And again, extends an invitation for you to come and potentially see to membership in their organization. Now, behind him, he introduces Savra Bellabranta, who is the head of the Order of the Gauntlet. So she is also somewhat interested in you, although you wouldn't meet quite their standards of what they are looking for. But she would be there looking you over, checking you out, and seeing if any of the members of your group would be someone that would fit in with the Order of the Gauntlet. The head of just about every faction is there that you have run across. This one here at this lower table sitting by Tully is Melanor, who Varys has met, and along with him he comes in with a large white cat strolling at his side, and he sits next to his half-brother, occasionally stroking this cat that seems to be very much a part of him. Davil Starsong, who Epiphany and Relian have met several times, is seated at this table. Captain Stagit, who you've all met several times, is here. Rishal is there, numerous nobles, etc. And Lyric is here strolling along doing some music as the things are going on. One person that would catch Cashin's eye that not too many of you know, I can't remember if Epiphany met her in the process of one of his jaunts or not. The woman sitting at the back table and kind of keeping apart from things is the woman that Cashin would know as Vajra. What is her name? I need glasses for that one.
I believe both Shepard and Lyric know, at least know of her. I don't know if they've met her.
Vajra Safar.
Yeah.
Safar.
Yeah.
She is better known in Waterdeep by her call name, but it is also not commonly said, even though it is known what her title is. She is a very high, powerful individual related to wizardry and several things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she is the one who Epiphany is. She's the extracurricular boss.
Oh God.
So
Yep.
just about everybody who's anybody has gotten the word and is either there in a jovial mood, clapping people on the back and enjoying things. Volo is, of course, here, and seated beside him, much to your surprise, he came in kind of with a hood over his head, but once he got inside among friends, he pushes the hood back, and Renair Neverember is there. So you are able to...
The scion of Lord of Neverwinter.
Yep, the son that you rescued. And beside Renair is an individual that the shepherd knows pretty well. Mert the moneylender, he is known by most people, but he has other occupations that he does besides money lending, and Shepherd has had several connections with him on various things. So is there anybody or anything that you want to have information from?
Before we actually do that, we never did get around to the group's free round of information on the shepherd. Because of me switching over to a different character. They know everything about Lyric, but they don't know anything about the shepherd.
Technically, we could get that right in here.
But I mean, like, it's not fair that I know stuff about you, about your current characters, but you guys know nothing about me because you guys have that round for Lyric, who is essentially not a playable character right now.
So how do you...
The person who knows anything would be Cashin.
So how would you want to play that?
I wanted to ask you if it's all right, because, well, minus Varys, because Varys wasn't here for that round, but everybody else did actually learn something about Lyric, if it would be all right with you. If they want to learn something about Shepherd, they get a free round.
Oh, you mean the rumor thing and so forth?
The rumor thing.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Now I get what you're saying. Yeah, our session 0.
We could play it off as like, oh, we've got another full tavern here, and people are saying, oh, look, it's the shepherd, and have you heard so-and-so? And our characters just happen to overhear something like that.
So what would you, Brett, say that they overhear about the shepherd?
Oh, I forgot about my rumors.
Dun, dun, dun. Shame on you.
Let me scroll up. Scroll all the way up. I know it's not that far away. Here we go. I guess so. Someone would probably hear about his eyes would go white, doors would open and close without him touching, flames flicker around in his presence. People would say that he doesn't just tend to the dead. He takes in lost and wayward folk and tries to guide them to a better path. Sometimes he speaks to himself, conversing with someone who isn't there, which Relian actually witnessed. People would not know how long he's actually been to the city, but it sounds like he's been there forever. And the main rumor would be that, like, the Gravekeeper is the perfect cover for being a murderer because he could just hide the bodies in the graves that he's tending to.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that'd be Epiphany's.
Why didn't I think of that?
Okay, so you pick up on several things, one to make you wonder a little bit about this individual that's been coming and going in your midst while you've been doing that. Any reactions to that, or any individuals that you want to do? And oh, by the way, Mike, you can see Leaf working behind the bar there. L-I-F is her name.
Here I thought it would have an E in it.
So who is this right here with me? Is this one of our waitresses that is
Yes.
bringing and taking? So I would imagine Relian's just stirring a big pot of stew, and she comes in and says, Mr. Ryan, have you, the shepherd's here. I didn't know he was working here. Did you know that he can it said he can open and close doors and pick things up without even touching them? And Reynolds just says, I don't have time for this. We're missing the tomatoes. Where are the tomatoes?
I picture Relian at that point using Mage Hand or something and picking things up without even touching
He has
them.
got 3 different mage hands going on right now. He is very busy. He just picks up a chicken and says, what is it? This is freaking raw!
Oh my god.
Chef Ramsay.
Relian Ramsay.
Yep.
Oh my god.
All right, so anybody else that you want to pick their brain, have a conversation with, or anything before we start winding down the evening, which looks to have been a fairly successful evening that you had?
You said this guy here was part of the
Lord's Alliance.
Lord's Alliance?
Yeah, the one with the gray background is Lord's Alliance, one with the red background is Order of the Gauntlet.
Oh, so this guy's the Lord's Alliance then.
Yeah, the one closest to your token.
Okay. Yeah, Nokri would probably make the rounds, of course, thoroughly make sure to greet any ally and whatnot, especially Renair. Thank him for at least showing up. And then, I guess, basically just schmooze and try to butter up the Lord's Alliance just to show that she isn't a terrible person. Not like complete kiss up, but just
use her
Show them
noble.
that she's a friend.
Yeah, and I mean, you have courtly manners. You know how to properly greet, and you would simply show them off. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just trying to get the gist without, I don't know, going into too much detail. Basically, it's like one of the things is during their drinking, she probably would be like, I don't know, I saw opportunity to make myself more known once we were offered the documents, but of course it would look kind of weird if a noble of unknown origin just came in. So I partnered with Cassian. Sometimes Cassian. Sometimes making allies with people who do things a little off the cuff, as he does at times, can work out to one's benefit. Every person has the right sort of fit and build for a job and a task, and I've seen his work. He's actually very good at what he does.
Well, we are most happy to see that someone of your status is here in the city.
Cashin just lies down on the job half the time, though.
Well, remember, I'm buttering you up
I
back
know.
to people, so fool.
You're
Appreciate
my hype man.
Did someone say needed a hype man? Literally.
Oh my god.
Oh, there once was a road named Cashin the Clean.
I've been playing that game a lot lately. Oh my god. Oh, it's been stuck in my brain. Don't do that to me.
So, yeah.
But yep, little by little, as the hours reach midnight and afterwards, people start slowly wandering out the door, happily tipsy. I need to have Varys roll either a survival roll or a dex roll, your choice, to see how well your sampling brew came across for your audience.
Well, the modifier is the same, so.
Oh!
I knew that was gonna happen.
The brew was pretty good, but it is new to the taste of the audience. Yeah, and people seem to gravitate back to the bar for the old standards, their whiskey and their ale and their wine. So it may have to take a while for it to catch on. It's not catching on quite as well as you might have wanted. Let me put that down.
Might not be the right season for it.
The raspberries are rather green this time of year.
A bit more red.
Now I need Sam to roll a performance or dex roll for how well your cooking was received.
Let's see.
Could you be a dramatic cook that has le sauce
Let's see, it would be performance or what?
or dex?
Okay.
Le
would
Potage
I-
Magnifique is the game that I've been playing.
Would I have advantage on it like I did last time, or?
No, this is just a straight roll on it.
Yes!
Yes.
Yeah.
Your food, people really are enjoying the cooking, and there are rave reviews of your cooking for the things. So you get a 21 on yours.
Oof.
And you people doubted me.
I doubted you.
that poor person Cash and gave a sandwich to liked it.
That poor person.
I'm sad now.
Nakri, you are to roll your schmoozing roll. Give me a persuasion roll.
Oh.
Ooh, they haven't quite taken yet to the Dragonborn nobility. That one's gonna have to take a little bit of work on your part. So that one is a 4.
The clash of culture.
Yeah. Epiphany, you have a couple of commoners that come in and are get a little too much liquor too fast, and they get a little abusive, and you have to intimidate them to leave the place. You get to roll an intimidation roll to see if you do your job intimidatingly in the proper fashion.
Before he does, since Lyric is here, can I give him Bardic Inspiration?
Nope, because he's not a player. He's the entertainer this time.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
You silly strumpet.
Could
I wanted to see.
I mean, they're drunk, so like speaking into their mind probably won't
This
really
will-
matter. They'll just be
this-
like, "Where are you coming from?"
No, this just will be a straight intimidation roll if you look
God
like
damn it.
I'd also just like to point out it's like that 1 and a 20 in the same thing. It's like advantage. Oh, I wish I had the.
Why does everyone suck?
I
at
am
me?
actually in Epiphany's case, this is actually a better roll. I didn't tell you ahead of time. Because if he had rolled a 21 or a 23 or something of the sort, he would have chased your customers away. So he is able to do just enough to get the drunks out of the bar without scaring the entire bar out into the streets. So that's actually a pretty
Why
good
does
roll.
everyone suck but us?
We do not know, friend Aurelian.
Well, what does Cashin have to do?
Well, what is Cashin doing? Is he schmoozing?
He's going to try and talk with Renair and Vajra.
Okay. And what are you trying to accomplish in the process of talking with him? What do you want to achieve?
Renair, it's just chit-chat, telling him how things are going and asking if he's all right. The Blackstaff, he's definitely going to try and be persuasive, try and show her that he's not trying to be a screw-up anymore.
Okay, give me a persuasion roll, see if you convinced her.
Yes!
Yeah, you did. Very good. Okay, so we've got a 24.
And he makes sure to not use her title.
Is Shepard trying to do any particular job that he will need to do a roll on, or is he just trying to bust the tables and do a pretty good job?
No, he would take a little bit of time to actually talk to Mert. He would give out the free drink, the Mert, to welcome him to Trollskull, and seeing that Renair was there, he would extend greetings to him. I had heard about the unfortunate run-in with the thugs that brought you to that warehouse. If you are in need of anyone to escort you back to your premises, we can certainly try to call for guards.
Oh, I appreciate that. It might be a good idea. I'm trying to keep a very low profile. I've let a lot of people think that I was actually gone from the city during this time, and I'm only just now allowing them to know that I'm back.
Maybe still wise to keep a low profile.
Yes, I will do so. There still seems to be a great deal of belief that somehow or other I know where that stone is that they keep talking about, and I simply don't. I don't know where it is. I have no idea. I'm assuming it's in my father's possession.
I had heard about this stone. Would you happen to know anyone know about it? Besides your father, that is.
I only know the same rumors you do, that it's purported to be the secret to the locking of this supposed secret cache of great wealth somewhere, and I know nothing more about it.
I would like to insight him.
Very good.
Oh, that's not... That is... Here we go. Insight. That's a natural 20.
Yeah.
He genuinely doesn't seem to know it. He looks as confused as you are about the things. So it appears that he would like to probably know where it is too, because it would take a lot of load off of him.
If you do happen to find any information, I would be able to find someone that could probably help you in regards of finding said stone.
I may have to take you up on it. We've certainly got to find what has happened if I'm ever going to have any kind of security at all.
Anyways, enjoy your stay at Trollskull.
Thank you very much. Thank you, yes.
Yep, and then I'll give a nod to Volo, even though I don't really know him. I just realized Shepard probably wouldn't know him, but
Epiphany's been staring at him the whole time too.
I'll be going back to my duties. I'll see that there's probably a mess on the floor to go and clean that up.
Maybe Volo made it after Epiphany was staring at him.
I've dealt with worse.
He just hears out of the corner of his mind, "We hope that things go well tonight."
In Volo.
For your sake.
Chris comes along and Shapewater it out of the... Shapewater, very useful for cleaning up excrement spills.
Was it an excrement spill or was it just a beer spill?
No, that's the thing. Yeah, no, I'm just cleaning up regular spills.
Oh, I thought it was a... Never mind.
Nope.
Yeah, no.
Let's pray that that's not the case.
We're just joking about Volo.
That nat one though. Is there anything we can do to mitigate that? Because that is harsh. Dang.
What?
It sucks that it was both a nat 1 and a nat 20, and it's like
Don't sweat it. It's just all I'm doing really is I'm getting your various pluses that will be added in on your profit and loss roll, so you don't have to worry too much about these, because this is where we're leading up to as we get to this point. All right, so as the people start, even the important people start meandering slowly out of the inn, any last minute things that you need to do, any information you need to pass, anything you need to do before you lock the doors for the evening and start counting your profits?
Well, as Vajra is leaving, Cashin will tell her that some information that he forgot about Saloon, and that that one of his victims apparently owed him money, and that he may be connected to Bragenberth.
She will take out a small pad that she carries with her, and we'll make note of that to research that. and we'll thank you for it. As
Something
usual,
really sorry.
your friends will be the last ones to leave because they're doing it.
Yeah, that's what Relian would take any leftover food, any leftover food and drink, kind of make doggy bags. Give one to each of their newfound friends. It says, "Oh, I hope you come back." Are there any guards like starting out, or like any
Yes.
people we? Okay.
Yes, there are both the city guard and the city watch
Captain.
are both there, in and out, different ones. They're they have to be careful about drinking on duty, but they are eating, and some of them are off duty and definitely having a good evening.
He'd give a doggy bag to the captain and some of his boys, and he'd also give a large portion of his, and instruct them, says, pass out whatever you don't eat to some of the homeless around the city. We all got to do our part, you know what I mean?
Why, thank you, sir. I think that's most generous of you. I'm sure there are a number of soup kitchens and what have you that would certainly appreciate the additional food to distribute.
Yeah, he'd give doggy bags to the guard, his friends, and whatever leftover food to be donated, because it's already cooked, otherwise it's just going to waste.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. It gets thinner and thinner. Eventually, Captain Stagit picks up the doggy bags that you've handed him, and he walks out the door. Are you going to have him or anyone in particular accompany Renair, or are you guys going to do it? What's the plan?
I think Castian will escort Renair back to his place.
All right, then Captain
Shepard would probably join him.
All right, Captain Renair then heads out. He was off duty, and so he's feeling rather rosy.
Wait. Captain Renair?
Captain Stagit, excuse me.
Plot twist, he was the captain of the guard the
whole
whole time.
Yeah, he was really secretly the captain. The waitresses are rushing around, bussing the tables, cleaning everything up, and getting it out for the thing. You will have, of course, I added up, you have 4 unskilled people that have been coming and going, helping you, and 1 skilled person in lyric that are doing the work. So you will have an outstanding payment for their paychecks of 28 gold that will be subtracted from what you make on your profit or loss tonight. Okay. So now the more important people start heading out. Volo was a little disappointed that he didn't get any free drinks. However, you did notice that he schmoozed up a few people to go up and talk for him, and he probably wound up with a few drinks free in spite of his status with you. So he wasn't quite as bad off as he tried to make out.
How is this guy so charming?
We do not know.
He could sell you a bridge.
We do not know.
I mean, he did sell you guys a haunted house.
Yep.
Hey, we like our haunted house.
Yeah.
It's a fixer-upper, but we still like our haunted house.
I freaking called it.
Mm-hmm, I suspected it as well.
All right, the last to leave are your friends who have little gifts, inconsequential gifts, a bunch of flowers or whatever that they hand you, or to put up in a vase or whatever, to celebrate a successful first evening in the place. So eventually it is down to just you, just the group of you. Shepard and Cassian will be heading out to do their quick escort over to Renair's apartment, so that they will be gone a short period of time. Getting everyone off so we can get down to just where we are. And with a heaving sigh, the group of you pull together your bags and tills and what have you, tips, etc., to see what your profit has been and whether you are actually going to make a profit. Looks pretty good. You had a good night.
No whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies.
Stop.
Hammer time.
Damn it, Sam.
Don't each other too long.
We really have. That's the problem, and also the delight. I don't want new friends. I got you guys.
I need friends.
All right, now let's see. I've got to add this up to. That is 10. Oh, pretty good. 15. That's not bad. That'll be
15 gold.
15 pluses added into your roll, which that's only one of the pluses. You have others as well. All right, so you have. Now we get a drum roll, please. I am pulling up the running a business.
I hear work better. That's what
That's fucking. What? Abba, what are you doing?
face rolling. Okay, Apo, you're not playing a Ret Paladin anymore. Stop that.
I never played a Red Paladin.
What about Rithlana?
No, she was a priest and demon hunter.
Alright.
All right, so you spent 32 gold on ads and promotion. That is put into the figure here. If you look at the video afterwards, you'll actually see these numbers going in that I'm putting here on the screen. You'll see the results of the roll. You just can't see the numbers being put in as we go. All right, so 32 on promotion. You owe, to the best of my knowledge, all you owe is this 28 gold for the paychecks. Is that correct?
Yep.
Should be.
I'll pay that. I got that covered.
I think you might have it covered. We'll see.
Well,
If you don't
there
roll
was the money from the moneylender, but I'm going to be personally paying that.
Yeah, those you have to pay pretty much out of your pockets from your portion of the profits on the things. So,
Right.
all right, now you had 15 as a modifier on your rolls for cooking, etc. The lowest you could get was a 1, which the lower rolls got. So you were able to get that, but we also had some very high rolls with people who did their job very well. So we add in 15 for that.
My cooking is awesome, and you will eat it every day of your lives from here on out.
Now you can really take it to them, Rel, because they were doubting your cooking.
I
never
recall.
doubted him.
I only recall myself being the only one doubting.
Cashin.
Well, Cashin just gave his food away. He never actually said.
What is that? That is doubt.
Anyways, they're finished.
Anyways.
Okay, and I'm looking to see if I've got any other factors here that I haven't put in, but it looks like they're all here. So you are about to see a number, which doesn't mean your profit. You'll see a number come up, and we'll see what it means. Ooh, that's a low roll. All right.
No.
So, we have got to see, there was something else that gets added in. I know I forgot something.
Polo got too many free drinks.
Apparently, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to find out because, yeah, it would be a fair amount of... What was the other one? There's one more.
All I can say is,
Oh, yes!
if we get tanked because of this, I'm going after Volo.
No, you've got, before, when we were just starting, I got how many days you put in for your work on the place to reduce the cost that it would have been. So we added up to 6 days total that you put in, so that raises it by another 6 points, so that would be 43. Still not great, but that raises it a little bit. All right, now I have to... Yeah, let me go to the chart, business chart here, and see what 43 comes up as. Okay, I've got here, we got this one right here, 43. 3, the business covers its own maintenance and cost for the week. So
we broke even.
You broke even is what it basically, you haven't made any profit, but you have come up with sufficient at least to not raise any further debts. So in order to pay your loans and your any outstanding debts that you have for those types of things, you are going to have to continue to do those quests in order to get your funds coming in.
Well, time to go extort Volo. Come on.
Well, technically that's... You know what? Breaking even on the first day is not the greatest thing, but it's not terrible either. It's kind of like in the middle of everything.
That is not what Volo informed us.
The problem is, breaking even on the first week, that's fine, but opening day you usually see some kind of profit because business teeters off because, the big pollu and, the dies off and the humdrum returns. Like, eventually we're going to lose our...
We've also got that the rumors of the trial kind of working against us in my mind. Like...
But you also have to realize that in these future rolls, for each 10 days, the later expenses, rather than being figured up as tight as we did it for the opening day, it is just a straight 60 gold for maintaining every week's worth of things. So your expenses will drop considerably. So you had an enormous amount of expenses that you had to put into the building to get it up and running, and to have broken even in spite of having all that stuff that you had to add to the building is actually pretty good.
Nah. Still don't feel great about it, to be honest.
Nope, it wasn't the greatest roll in the world.
That's like going to college and then getting a job that you can pay off all your student loans at the first year.
Yeah, but anyway, first results weren't as great as you had hoped that they would be, but at least you haven't gone any further in the hole, and hopefully as word gets around of Rellian's great cooking, it just may get even better as you have regular outgo and regular income and you kind of know what it is. So each week on the game you will be, each period in actual game time of a week, 10-day, you will have another roll that will be going on. All right, now eventually tired and what have you, people come back from escorting and so forth. Yep, and you are back and you are heading off to sleep. Anything you want to do, because we have one more thing that needs to be covered.
Hunt down Volo and kill him.
Cashin's just going to double check his safety, make sure everything is locked, and well, he's going to have to work on his traps later, but for now he'll have to keep working on them.
I guess I would be, when we're outside, before we're actually going back to the end, I would make a quick search to see if anybody is sticking around or anything.
Oh yeah, Cashin will do that too, just a perception check.
Yeah, give me, anybody that is looking around, give me a perception check.
Nice roll.
Both of them were pretty good rolls. You are not entirely comfortable. There seems to be, as it's deep dark now, late at night, and there seems to be quite a lot of nighttime footpads about, a little more than you are used to. Now, this could be explained by the fact that maybe there were a lot of nobles that were leaving that were on 3 sheets to the wind, and they were possibly pickpocketing them as they left. But it leaves you just a little bit uneasy because it is more than you have been seeing. This is not perhaps the swankiest area of the city, but it is a reasonably decent area, and you haven't seen that much kind of dark hooded people meandering about who suddenly turn and walk the other way. There doesn't seem to be any one individual that seems to stand out, but there just seems to be a lot of activity going on.
Relian, would they share that information?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
tell them that I don't see anyone suspicious outside, but we should probably still be cautious. Make sure everything's locked.
Yeah, Relian is going to he's going to make sure the kitchen is spotless. He's going to make everything is in its place for the next day. He's going to again check on his little eggy wiggies. Then he's going to make sure everything's locked, everything's secure. Then he's going to grab a chair, sit it in front of one of the windows, snuff out all the lights once everyone's gone to bed. He's going to sit down and he's going to nod off.
All right, give me your survival, whatever roll you did before on your eggy waggies.
Okay. Oh, better. It's above average.
You can hear a tick, tick, tick sound coming from inside one of the eggs.
Yes, come into the world, my darlings. Come to Mama.
Wow.
There's quite a bit to unpack there.
Yeah.
So things begin to quiet down about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Sorry, I didn't get a chance to say what I was going to do. My apologies. I would have gone upstairs, formally dressed in full armor, take blanket, a pillow, and kind of soldier camped in the inn because of what happened with the stink bomb incident.
Yeah.
Figured if something was going to happen, she wanted to be on the first floor so she could just bust out that door and run over to whoever did it.
And Cashin will have his boots on as he sleeps.
And I'm going to do something behind the scenes here, which will show up on the
Relian's just snoozing
other,
in his
but
chair
I'm
in
just
front of
going
the
to
window.
get rid of friends and acquaintances that don't need to be on the screen. Just give me one moment here.
No worries.
And move your characters to their bedrooms. Or wherever they're going to be.
I don't suppose you've extended an offer of a room for Varys?
It's there.
Nerd, you
have
live
the
down
cellar room.
Nerd, you live down the street.
That's what I was about to say. Is Varys would be spending, of course, going home with his.
Where do you think you're going? You live here now.
I'm going home.
This is home.
Not for me.
About 3 o'clock in the wee hours of the morning, just when it seems to be, it seems to be very, very quiet. Even those who are trying to stay awake are dozing off. Nothing seems to be happening. Suddenly, there is a resounding explosion, and the windows on the entire Troll Alley street rattle heavily as this explosion goes off in the main intersection of the street. Let me put...
Time to switch from my background tavern music to my background battle music.
Just a quick question: would my intimidation of the guy who gave us the information for Ultu, whatever his name was, for Urstel, was that today or was that yesterday?
That is today during the afternoon, yes.
Okay. Got it.
Well, it was... You're in the next day, the wee hours of the next day, so it was...
Yeah, basically, I'm just asking, did we have a long rest between then?
No, you've only had a short rest at this point.
Okay.
But because you went to bed like 2 o'clock in the morning, and 3 o'clock this explosion hits the alley. You hear screams throughout the alley and even out in the neighborhoods nearby. You could hear shattering glass and various things. Who would be the first one out the door? I assume it would be Relian since he was camping on the bottom floor.
I thought he was upstairs. Oh, were you downstairs also?
Yeah, Relian doesn't really have a room. He's just been sleeping in the bar.
I thought you had the room upstairs. One of the rooms upstairs.
The attic.
I do. It's the one away from Epi, but he's just been sleeping downstairs for whatever reason.
Varys is being so speedy, he is already on the street with trident in one hand, whip in the other.
I can't tell from this map where the entrance is. Oh, it's right there? Yeah, okay, yeah. I would have come out of the house.
And Cashin would be putting
Oh
on
God!
be putting on his clothes and whatnot before descending. And oh.
Yep, when you come out of the inn, and I'm going to now turn off the dynamic lighting because I wanted you to not see that until you emerged. So I'll turn that off.
Okay. Dynamic lighting did not turn off for me.
You're still working on it.
Oh.
Probably.
Click off your token and back onto the token again.
Nope.
And try a reload. Because it is off, I've checked.
Probably reload.
Why not just play with it on?
It hinders us in some ways.
Everyone now, is Epiphany still inside the tavern?
There we go.
Yeah, Epiphany was probably sleeping, like, curled up in the den turret on the second floor.
Okay, the den turret is actually Cashin's, isn't it?
Yes.
No. Like he's got the turret on the third floor.
Okay.
Epiphany was sleeping in the turret on the second floor.
Okay.
We have two turrets?
No,
It's
The
all
same turret, one floor lower.
Same
Oh,
turret,
okay,
floor below
gotcha.
it.
So you were just sleeping in the turret tower, one level lower. Okay.
Yeah, so it's technically in the turret, but like basically Epiphany could have
slowed it
And
down.
remember that to get out of the second floor, you have to actually go to the north, down those steps, and around the north of the building and come around from that way. Because there is no direct access to the first
floor. You gotta
floor.
come out here, and then you
Alright.
gotta come out this way, right?
That's basically intentional so that the tavern noise and things don't bother the tavern patrons.
People who live there.
I'm looking at your visuals here. Shepard, Cashin, Nokri, and Relian will give me a regular perception roll. Epiphany will give me a perception roll at disadvantage, and Varys will give me a perception roll at advantage.
I will take that 18, thank you.
I do not know.
19 and an 18.
Yep.
What was the roll?
Perception.
Oh, okay.
Varys definitely, as he came out, he sees people running in all directions, but he is. I'm going to say that he's mostly thinking about what damage has been done to his friends. But you do notice there is a person with a very dark cloak. You cannot see his face. It is completely buried in the dark. That is hightailing it out to the east. You would be able to describe at least his form later on. But
Could I make an insight check to see if this is possibly the culprit?
I'll let you do that. Yeah, you can see whether you suspect that this is a person related to something.
Ooh.
You feel that in some way he is tied to this. You don't know how, but with a very good perception and a very good insight, I'm going to say that you smell a lot of smoke on him, but almost to a burn level. It's as if he's been burnt.
Okay. I think I will exclude Varys from all the actions with this fire, and I'll send you a private message.
Okay. The rest of you, except for Nokri, the rest of you and Epiphany, the first thing you notice is that there are 3 what looks like bodies, pretty well burned, laying in the middle of where this conflagration is. It looks like 3 people have been killed. One looks to be a gnome of some kind, and the other 2 look like humans. Varys would note that the individual that ran away that he was looking at was of human height and form. Whether it was a human or not, you do not know. And there are apparently 3 people dead from this explosion. So that's the first thing that you would notice when you go out there. Now, what are you going to do? Because we're only going to have one moment of you saying how you're going to react, and then we're going to do something else for a moment.
Cassian will yell out to start a bucket brigade.
There are lots of people on the street, and they immediately start forming up at your command and start doing that to get it put out. What are each of you doing? Epiphany, what are you doing?
Charging around towards to get a better look at what's going on.
Okay, and when you see these flames, are you doing anything in particular?
Where is it? Is it here? Is it here?
What can you?
Yeah.
You can't see the flames?
Yeah. No, I can't.
There's a big fire in the middle of the street and you don't see it?
There's nothing. I don't see anything, no.
Refresh.
Oh, you're all the way around the corner as well.
Yeah, but there's no dynamic lighting or anything.
Oh, that's weird.
Okay. Anyway, yeah.
Reloading again. But yeah, he's charging around.
Okay. Yeah, the whole intersection there is a fire. All right. What is Shepard doing?
You already did say that we saw 3 bodies. Pretty much confirmed that. Is there anyone else around the fire that looks like they've been injured in some way?
There are few people that look like they are minorly injured from glass and this kind of thing. There are damages on the street from the explosion. So there are people that are holding their hand and doing various things. There are injuries on Trollskull.
Then I would make my way for them and try to help them lead away from the fire and go and tend to their wounds. So would it be like on this other side of the fire, or was it on this side of the fire?
Mink, I'll talk to you later about your statement there and what's going on. Okay, that you go to help the various injured residents in the area. Right. Nokri, what are you doing?
Here, I'll just go right here.
I will help Shepard since Cassian has the water chain going.
And Relian, what are you doing?
Well, we got some experience with this, with the noble lady's house the other day. So Relian is going to come up with a crazy plan. You know, he's just going to do it. So I'm going to combine a few things here. And basically what I want to combine is, here we go, this, my fire resistance. I can stand the blaze much better than others. I also want to see if I can possibly contain it with this. And finally, this. I'm combining these 3 things, my fire resistance, my shield spell, well, shield ability really, and my spooky mage hand, and I'm going to use these 3 abilities I'm going to put myself at the very start of the bucket brigade, and I'm going to willingly, I'm going after the heart of the blaze, as it were. I'm using these
and suffocate it.
Yeah, I'm trying to use these 3 abilities to go into the flame itself, and go after the heart of the blaze to try and suffocate it and douse it.
Very good. With your additional help, as the buckets finally start coming in, and it's far enough into the street that it isn't actually threatening buildings too much, although some of them are kind of heating up and might over time have caught fire. Little by little, the flames begin to die down, and you eventually are able to get the fire out.
You know, Relian says as he pats his smoking clothes, this is starting to become a habit, and I don't think I like it.
Now that I also think about it, I would have also used thaumaturgy to start yelling for guards if they hadn't already gotten here by the time we were helping everything.
Guards have arrived. The street is alive with guards and people, looky-loos and everything else. They start pushing the looky-loos back, trying to get them out of the way, and so forth. It is, I mean, everybody is upset at this. We are going to cut here. The explosion is where we will end tonight, and you are level 3.
Yeah! Oh, boy.
Where's my books?
New spells. That's all I get is new spells.
So we will
get
pick up next time with
my
the
archetype.
after effects of the explosion on Trollskull.
We certainly will.
So what should the EXP be set to?
I'm
we're
looking it up
not-
right now. Well, we are because we're using Character Mancer, and it's 900.
Thank you.
Oh, you guys use Character Mancer.
Yeah.
Fun.
I'm lazy to find my books.
Anyway, so are we off the air?
No, we're still on, but just follow up on anything you need before we say goodnight, and we'll be seeing them next week for the after effects. Anything you need to close before we shut down for the night?
Thank you all for coming
And
witnessing our shenanigans again.
right, and Relian's final word to the audience?
Bye, everybody. Remember, when life gives you lemons, you should make lemonade. Then try to find someone whose life has given them vodka and have a frickin' party.
That sounds great. Wish I could do that. Okay, good night all. We'll see you next week when they start trying to figure out what all this was. Was it aimed at the Trollskull Manor, or was it something else? Good night all.
Gee, I wonder if the guy who threatened to bomb our place has anything to do with it.